This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Welcome into the Triple Option. It's been
since I've seen you last a week and a half. Garrett and I, and Emery Winter and David Smoke were at the Super Bowl in Las Vegas, Nevada. And I got to tell you, I'm thrilled to be back.
Yes.
I'm happy to be alive. We had a couple. Look, Vegas, I'll tell you this. Vegas is the perfect 3-day city.
Yes, no more.
We were there for 5 days, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And then we're able to get an earlier flight on Friday, which was miraculous.
Yes. Total game changer. Me and Emery were, I don't know how y'all's drive home was, but we were talking like I could not have driven. Yeah. The way it was going. There's no way.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I could not. We would have not been home till about 11 o'clock.
Yeah,
the way our flight kept getting delayed. Yeah, so I it was great. It was a great time. The game was great. We didn't get to go to the game, but the game was great last night. It was slow, that's for sure. I mean, it kind of petered along for a little while, and it was a defensive struggle. It was a defensive struggle throughout. Ton of field goals, not a lot of touchdowns, but it was great. It was great to see, two quarterbacks of completely different styles going at it. I think Brock Purdy kind of purged the narrative of what he is. Now, look, I do think the difference in that game was Patrick Mahomes can do things that Brock Purdy can't do.
Oh, yeah.
But the difference in most games is Patrick Mahomes can do things that the other 31 starting quarterbacks in the league can't do. So that just puts Brock Purdy in the category with everybody. That's what it is. So, I absolutely, really thoroughly enjoyed the game. I was hoping for a 49ers win,
just to see something different.
Also, as a Cowboys fan, seeing another team possibly now become America's team. And look, I read it in the Dallas Morning News today. With their now 3 Super Bowls in 5 years, and Patrick Mahomes being 28 years old, and Taylor friggin' Swift, and I say that as a Swiftie, that's kind of America's team now.
Yes.
The Chiefs are America's team. When you've got little girls watching football for the first time in their life and getting into look, Taylor Swift is only going to be on the screen for a few minutes, but then getting into the football.
My daughter is one of them.
But she's
literally she was in there last. She's watched football. She's gone to games with me her entire life. But the interest for her to actually sit down and watch a game in its entirety was an NFL game was something that just wasn't there in years past. She would watch college football sporadically and everything, but she was locked in, did not miss a second last night, and it's a large part because of the Swift movement.
But ESPN did a great story about it, girl dads and connecting with their daughters. I thought it was really, really good. Is she interested in the game now?
Yes, yeah. That's the thing. It's she was literally watching, asking questions that she hadn't asked before. She knows, like I said, she's gone to so many games with me before, but the interest level, the asking things, the things that she might not know or understand, whereas she would have just casually watched it in the past, now she is more in tune with, and I think there's a lot of girls out there. I think it's great for the game. The NFL definitely, when you think they've tapped out all their resources and you could find a gold mine somewhere else, it's insane what they've been able to capitalize on with her.
Yeah, absolutely. So I didn't. Plus, my wife, not a Chiefs fan. She's over it. So she was hoping for the 49ers. But look, it's fine. It's fine. We're gonna have to deal with it.
I don't have a problem. Right now, I don't necessarily have a problem with it.
No.
My wife is already to the point where she is sick of seeing Taylor Swift's face and all this. It's going to get to a point where if the Chiefs go off and even if you win another one within the next couple of years, because it's going to be so hard to continue. They're not going anywhere. You're going to have to get used to it. For me, watching them, I don't have a problem with it because there's nobody on that team that if you watch, you could look at the New England, what they had, right? Brady rubbed people the wrong way a lot. Belichick had that something to him that just rubbed people the wrong way, and plus the Deflategate and everything that went along with that. I don't see that yet with Kansas City. Now, I think it'll eventually come. But right now, I don't have a problem with them being the dynasty. I think they are kind of fun to get into, even if they aren't your team per se.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that they're that good.
They're fun though.
Yeah, they're fun. And look, I did a top 5. I'm not a toot my own horn guy quite often, Garrett. You know that.
Yeah.
But I am going to. If you go back to my top 5 from Friday, or was it Friday? I think it was. Was Friday the one?
I think it was Thursday. No, it was Friday. You're right. It was Friday.
Thursday or Friday. Hold on. I'll go back. I'll go back and look and tell you. It was Friday. It was Friday. So I said, for San Francisco, touchdowns, not field goals.
Yep.
Touchdowns, not field goals. Didn't score enough touchdowns. For Kansas City, the wide receivers need to keep making the big plays. They made the playoffs. They did last night, even though they weren't all that prevalent. Like San Francisco defense did a good job for a lot of time. San Francisco took advantage of KC's missing defensive line. They ran the ball pretty well. KC limited the holding penalties. I think they only had one. Although there were a couple that have been like, you could have called that, but you can do that every play. And San Francisco, don't give Mahomes a sliver of hope. What did they do? They gave him a sliver of hope.
Exactly that.
Multiple times they had the lead, gave him a sliver of hope.
I know there was a lot of, I would say, confusion when it came to the overtime. Now, I know it was something that we had never seen before. In that instance, were you surprised that San Francisco didn't give Kansas City the ball just to force Mahomes to score a touchdown, knowing you're going to get an opportunity regardless?
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Sometimes you go second, sometimes knowing, again, they didn't know the rules. Give Mahomes the ball, see if you can force him into a field goal now. But now, going second, knowing that they can do whatever they want, that makes it like college overtime in that regard. Both teams are going to get a possession. Them not knowing the rules certainly was a thing that derailed the game for them. Mm-hmm.
No, it was crazy because I was thinking about it afterwards because the rule was changed when Josh Allen didn't have an opportunity to go out there and beat Mahomes, and now Mahomes has benefited off of it prior and after because if it wouldn't have changed, then San Francisco would have won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is. It's crazy. I thought the game was fantastic.
It was awesome.
I did. And Patrick Mahomes. Here's the thing: when you're as great as he is, every rule, even though it's made to kind of contain you a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, you can work it to your advantage because you're Patrick freaking Mahomes. I mean, he's just so good. As soon as they kicked that field goal, I turned to Amanda. I was like, "Well, this game's over."
Yeah,
and she's like, "No." I mean, I was like, "No,
he's
just
over."
It is. He is to every other team. To the 31 other teams in the league. He's Michael Myers.
Yeah,
you can throw him off the top of a building. You can do all these things, but you better make sure he's decapitated or something. Because otherwise, he keeps coming back. He's just, you think, the beating. This year was the ultimate example. They commit too many penalties. They can't catch the ball. They don't really have a number one target that's not Travis Kelce showed his age for the first time. And not that he didn't adapt and move out of that, but he was not as
They took
fast.
him away, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he showed a little bit of he's 33, 34 years old. It started to wear on him a little bit. All of that, you have all those things. But guess what? When you have Patrick Mahomes, all those things are paper cuts.
Yeah.
You have Dak Prescott, you have Kirk Cousins. Those things will get you undone.
Yep.
Right? Because those guys are good, but not great. And you have other great quarterbacks in the league like Josh Allen and all these other people who just run up against him and have lost. And look, it took an epic offense from Cincinnati and Joe Burrow to beat them.
And that happened once.
Once. It took, in the Super Bowl, it took the actual GOAT to beat him in their house with no people because it was COVID.
Yeah.
So, there's all these things. That's what you have to do. It's just these one-offs. And again, like, oh, they can't do this. Oh, the Chiefs aren't good. But the defense was good all year, and Patrick Mahomes is still Patrick Mahomes. So if the defense can keep games close, which it usually did, then you just could not bring them down.
The only thing watching that where I came away thinking that Kansas City could improve on what they do is I couldn't help, and I know a lot of the times were nerves, and Pacheco just wasn't himself. Yeah, I mean, it just is what it is. When you have that many mistakes and you fumble a couple of times and everything, but I just kept watching that and thinking, if they had like a Leonard Fournette or if they had a Zeke to help, especially like in those red zone situations or those short yardage situations where they didn't have to rely on Mahomes last night, which typically he wouldn't do throughout the regular season and using his legs, that could have been a significant difference maker for them, in my opinion. I'm interested to see what they do because Edwards-Hilaire's okay, but he's not somebody that you could put in to really balance out what Pacheco does from a stylistically. But if they're able to get like a banger in there, I think that could help them.
I know, like Pacheco runs hard. Like he does, but I do think that they need something else, especially as Mahomes gets older.
Yeah,
like just to protect him. And they'll do that. Like the thing is, that they'll do it.
Absolutely,
they'll do it. They need a wide receiver to complement Rashee Rice. Mm-hmm. They need a tight end of the future.
But it's little things.
Yeah, little things, and then they can reboot it. Like the other thing about it was. And part of the reason I said that San Francisco needed to take advantage of Kansas City in this moment, and what the 49ers did not do, was this is the last time for the foreseeable future, in my mind, that you're going to see a Kansas City team that is deficient on offense in certain categories.
Correct.
Like this is the last time that's going to happen. Like this is a one-off. Like they didn't have the right personnel this year. They went through a slump, but then guys started playing better. Hardman and Scantling and all that played better down the stretch. Now those guys are not the answer for you. Those are third and fourth wide receivers. But getting another main target at wide receiver, they will do that. And then that problem is kind of solved.
It's crazy, though, when you see these organizations these championship caliber organizations, how like them and the Patriots never, like they don't have enough. Like you had Tyreek a couple of years ago, but you don't have like a star receiver where every other in the team in the league actually has one, and you just can win without it. That's remarkable. And I mean, if you're able to get a game changer in there, you can't stop them.
Yeah, and look, Rashee Rice is really good.
Oh, he's good.
He's really good. He's going to be a very, very good NFL player. I do want to talk about Travis Kelce and the Reed bump. I know everybody's making a big deal of it. I've seen way worse. Yeah. It wasn't right. I'm sure they've worked it out. I'm not in any way saying it's okay. It wasn't okay. You can't do that. But, like, part of this is the internet world and the Swifties clutching their pearls. Like, oh, my God, Travis got angry. But
I mean, it's an emotional game, right? Like we've seen him over the past few weeks where emotion gets the best of him. You throw your helmet and everything. It's a bad look. I don't think that you should ever do that. And it also makes it worse when you're so magnified. Like if that would have been another player coming off, it wouldn't have been that big of a deal, right? But with him, everything that's surrounding him right now, you just can't do that. I understand the emotions of the situation and everything. And at the end of the day, it's not a big deal. They're going to get past it. But it was just definitely a bad look. Because, like I said, he's going to garner so much more attention than any other player right now just because of the outside circumstances.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a bad look. He's got to get that under control. But part of it, I'll tell you, look, Jason is going to retire. He hasn't made that official, but that looks like what it's going to be. He knows he's not far behind.
Right.
And even though you have Patrick Mahomes, and it's the almost most sure bet you can of the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl as long as that guy's a quarterback, things happen. Mm-hmm. Like, things happen. Like, it's hard. Like, this was their hardest year to ever win the Super Bowl. Ever. And you could tell that was wearing a lot of them. So, as where, like, a couple years, like last year, not that it wasn't hard, but like it wasn't this.
It wasn't
hard.
this. No,
it's always hard, and so this one was the most challenging. So like wrestling through all that stuff, I think, you have to give a little perspective to that and think about what it is. But I really hated that Deebo Samuel was playing a little bit banged up. I know that you feel this way because I know you well enough. I feel this way. There's a lot of players on the Cowboys roster that I love.
Oh, they're good. Yeah.
They're great. But if you told me I could switch the whole 49ers roster for the whole Cowboys roster, you would do that with the Commanders too, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah. Not even close. I think that they have one of those rosters where I think them and the Chiefs, like every other team in the league, would do the same thing. Almost every other team in the league would. Yeah. I mean, you can make like some like Packers, maybe not.
Here's the deal. If you gave me everybody and let me like trade out 2 players for 2 players, I would keep like CeeDee Lamb and Micah and then trade everybody else out.
I think that would be a fair trade.
I would even take Purdy over Dak right now because Purdy's not in his head like Dak is.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I like Dak.
He's got more growth too, more time to grow into it. I can see that.
But like, again, like if you want to talk about the difference between, and I'm going to go back into this. I'm going to reiterate it for people who are Purdy haters, which I'm sure on our show, we probably don't have that much because we have all Big 12 fans who watch Brock Purdy beat most of their teams.
He was good
maybe even a couple of times. He was a really good college player. He got Iowa State to the Big 12 championship game.
Yes.
Name the litany of Iowa State quarterbacks who have not done that.
Every one of them?
Yes. So like he has an impressive feat about him. And again, there's measurables with him. You look at the guy and nothing about him screams football player.
Yeah, but
he's not big. He's not strong. He's not particularly fast.
Did anything about Eli Manning scream football player?
Other than his tall,
other than the name. Other than the name.
Yeah.
No. Like, I mean, sometimes it's just a matter, and you could try to crap on him, say a system quarterback or whatever. Okay, there's a lot of guys who would have failed at that.
Let me tell, like, everybody says system quarterback. Here's why I think it's a misnomer. You name me one quarterback who's been to the Hall of Fame based on the horrible coaching system they've been in.
Look at Cleveland.
Zero quarterbacks make it to the Hall of Fame without a good coach.
No.
So it's not like, he's a system. Like, football's a symbiosis. Everything works together. You know, and like sometimes you have people that are like Barry Sanders that are great enough to overcome a deficiency.
Right.
Like he never had the offensive line that, say, Emmitt Smith had or Walter Payton had. No. And he was still great, but he still, like, he didn't win a lot. And that's one of the reasons he quit playing was like, this is not going to change.
Yeah, what was the point?
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, it was to that point where, so yeah, I mean, everything has to work together. Is Brock Purdy going to be a Hall of Famer? I don't know. Probably not. There's not a lot of people that do get to be Hall of Famers.
No.
It's like 6 a year. There's thousands of players. But, like, again, the difference between Brock Purdy and Patrick Mahomes is essentially the difference between Patrick Mahomes and everybody else before you get into nitpicky details. Mm-hmm. You know, and yeah, Josh Allen and Joe Burrow and Aaron Rodgers, when he's healthy, are all on that level where they can kind of go.
He's a top 10 quarterback.
Yeah, where they can go toe-to-toe with them. And then after that, you know, we're going to start going, well, and Lamar, you know, like those are guys that are like the plus guys. And then after that, it's all about what you put around your guy and how you can accentuate his strengths. So I'm a Purdy fan. I think he was
They didn't lose that game because of Brock Purdy. There was nothing he did that made them lose that game.
No, they didn't. So it was a great Super Bowl. And, you know, we've got who's a bracket cat, obviously a huge Chiefs fan. So Kyle Visser says, nice vacation, Paul. Yes, I did. I had a great vacation. I didn't get to talk to this audience about my trip the week before to Allen Fieldhouse. So look, I'll tell you, as a sports week goes, Allen Fieldhouse to Radio Row tops them all.
Pretty dope, yeah.
Tops them all. You know, and Radio Row we've gotten down to where it's not so much of a physical and emotional drain anymore because the game has changed a little bit. Used to, we have to like follow people around, and now we don't. Like, again, part of it's dignity, part of it's just that, like, you know, if a big name comes in, you know, if Joe Montana or Steve Young was in the room the other day,
Jerry Rod,
you can go up to them and ask, and you're going to get told no immediately. Yeah. He's only doing 8 things. He's going to go to these 2 Bay Area stations. He's going to go see Q in Vegas because they're the host city.
McAfee or something.
He's going to go to McAfee. He's going to go over here to CBS. He's got Sirius, and then you're kind of out. He's got to go. It also hurts that, like, Dan Patrick, Colin Cowherd
aren't on site. Yeah,
like the other ESPN radios, ESPN broadcasts are at different spots, so they've got to go and take them places while they're on. So,
what do you make of Kyle Shanahan right now? And everything, like how this is going.
Yeah, he's.
I feel bad for the dude.
I feel bad for the dude. Like, he's clearly one of the best coaches in the league. He ran up against. He's run up against the Chiefs twice. Right now, you know who he is? He's Jerry Sloan. Jerry Sloan was the coach of the Jazz. Yeah. And the Jazz had this great team with Stockton and Malone, and they were fantastic. Any other time in NBA history, people remember, like, man, Jerry Sloan and those, like, maybe they've won more titles, right?
Yeah.
Like, maybe those two beget two more, like, just because you have one of the best scorers, probably second best passer in the history of the NBA behind Magic Johnson. I know he has more assists, but
Stockton was cold.
But I mean, John
good.
Stockton got to play his whole career. Magic didn't. Still Hall of Famer. You have these Hall of Famers. They had great rotational pieces. They had especially for back in the day of the 90s, they had Greg Ostertag at center, who would just plant himself in the middle and it was hard to deal with. They had all that, but the problem is that Michael Jordan
existed,
walks and breathes on the earth. And the problem with Kyle Shanahan is he's got all these things. He's got Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle and Fred Warner and
Chase Young,
Bosa and Chase Young and
they were loaded.
Armstead and Kinlaw and Hargrave, this great defensive line. I mean, he's just got studs all over the place. Trent Williams, the best left tackle in football. He's got all that stuff. But Patrick Mahomes lives and walks on the earth. That's it. Sometimes you're just born at the wrong time.
Yep.
How many people would have been the king of rock and roll if there'd never been an Elvis, right? Just how it is,
Mm-hmm.
What do we look at Carl Perkins and be like, that was the guy, because people wouldn't just say, oh, he sounds kind of like Elvis.
Right, no.
But that's how it is. So, yeah, I do. That's what I think about Kyle Shanahan. I think it's unfortunate for him. Mm-hmm. But I think he'll probably get there eventually. You know who was him?
Andy
before?
Reid?
Andy Reid was. Andy Reid was him.
That's the thing. He's got
Pete Carroll
time
was
on his
him.
side.
He
definitely has time on his side.
Yeah.
That helps.
Yeah, he's young. Look, I do think that there are the coaches that Jimmy Johnson coached the Cowboys up. When he got to his first 2 Super Bowls, he won those 2 Super Bowls. Had they been able to keep that going, that team would have looked probably a lot like this Chiefs team does right now, where they were kind of inevitable because they were just so stacked and so deep and all together, and they still won one without him. They were, lost in the NFC Championship game, got Dion, flipped the whole thing around, and then won a Super Bowl again the next year. So all of that, that's where Kyle Shanahan's living right now. And it's unfortunate for him, but look, his dad, wasn't always, he was right there at the end. You don't want to wind up being Marty Schottenheimer.
No.
But I do think he'll get there. I think he'll get there. They have a good organization. Clearly, they draft really well.
Yes.
They're, and actually, here's the deal. The worst draft pick they made over the last few years was the highest draft pick they had in Trey Lance. It's almost as if, at the back of the draft where they are going to be right now, they make better decisions.
Some franchises are like that, though.
Yeah. The Ravens, look, when was the last time the Ravens had a top 5 pick?
I couldn't tell you.
And they're consistently good.
Yeah.
They just know at that point, we're going to take the best player available, no matter what he is, or we're going to trade back up like they did to get Lamar Jackson and go, this guy can kind of change things for us. When we come back, we have college football news to talk about. The coaching carousel spins in the midst of February. We live in a crazy world. This is the Triple Option on 365 Sports.
If your business is like most, you need things done quickly. But if you're still tying your critical applications together on multiple shared public networks, you've probably been feeling the slowdown. And that's no good for business. A private UPN fiber network can get you and your business moving at the speed of light. Whatever you need, we can build it. Internet, Metro Ethernet, Waves, dark fiber. We deliver custom private networks and are focused on business customers only. Our next generation 100% fiber optic infrastructure offers you low latency and ultra scalable bandwidth with speeds up to 100 gigabit to run your critical applications. Your connection won't be limiting your performance anymore. It's diverse and scalable, so it can grow and change as your business grows and changes. And with a secure carrier-grade private network, you'll have all the reliability you need. Contact UPN today to learn more. Fast just got faster.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Welcome back. Thanks to everybody in the chat room. Paxton, Bobby B, Bracky Cat, Kyle Visser. All you guys, who am I leaving out here? Retired stockbroker David Floyd said you're going to have to deal with all the Texas Tech fans. Look.
Hey, y'all deserved it.
They deserve it. Look, and again, last night, new Washington Commanders offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury was once again made to like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Get a few guys who can tackle.
Ridiculous, man.
What are you doing?
I'm
sure he feels the same way.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like, because at that time, like that was the Big 12. That was the prime era of there's no defense and everything. If you just had somebody that could get you a couple of stops a game, man.
Look,
so crazy.
One stop a quarter.
Yes.
That's it. One stop a quarter. That's what Phil Bennett was brought in to do. That's what a lot of like Oklahoma brought in defensive coordinators. Like, listen, this conference is nuts right now.
Yeah.
Nobody's figuring this out. But if you can figure out how to get one stop a quarter, one fumble, one punt, one turnover, one interception, one turnover on downs, we're going to win the game by 17 points.
Yeah.
But he never did that. Never did that. College football news this weekend. It keeps spinning. Bill O'Brien takes the job at Boston College.
Yep.
That opens up the offensive coordinator spot at Ohio State, which was opened up. The Boston College job was opened up because Jeff Hafley went to the Packers to take their defensive coordinator job out of college football and into the league.
Another one.
So then Chip Kelly, who we knew was not on the best of terms with UCLA, and somehow UCLA is going to be kicking themselves for not firing him, I guess because they didn't want to pay out the money.
Right.
But they still have to be kicking themselves for the position that they're in, unless the hire that they made, which we'll get to in a second, works out well for them, then this was the best strategy they could have had. But Chip Kelly takes the offensive coordinator job at Ohio State. He's made it clear that being a head coach is maybe not what he wants to do at this point in his life, especially at UCLA. Ryan Day played for him at New Hampshire, coached for him in the NFL with the Eagles and 49ers, and is now the head coach at Ohio State. So this move should come as, while a surprise that a guy would leave a head coaching position at a Big Ten school to go to an offensive coordinator position at a Big Ten school of his own volition, although not completely. Like, this was not like he just came up with this a couple days ago. I mean, there was some push out the door, and then UCLA has now hired DeShaun Foster, their former running backs coach, who had taken that same job with the Las Vegas Raiders to be their new head coach. So DeShaun Foster takes over. I'm very intrigued by the hire. He's a very good position coach. He's not been a head coach, but I often don't like to begrudge that against guys because I'd like to see how they can do it. Now, look, it's something he's going to have to prove, but he's clearly really good at what he does. He's produced a lot of NFL players. The school thinks highly of him. He's an alum, so he can maybe put up with some of their budget shenanigans a little bit more because he's got some passion there. But I'm intrigued by the hire. I don't know if it's an A-plus hire or B-plus hire yet. We'll see. But it is kind of tells you the state of college football right now that we're talking about coaching changes on February the 12th.
It's really ridiculous, and we were talking about this in Vegas, and when it initially came out that Chip Kelly was likely the target, I believe it was, who was it? Aaron Torres, I believe, who threw that out there that it was more than likely going to be. I was kind of like, I don't know, like I don't know why you would do that and take but to me at the initial standpoint looked like a step down. But the more I thought about it and the budget crisis that UCLA finds themselves in, and just hit Chip Kelly's want to definitely get out of there, I understood it. I still am kind of surprised he didn't try or land as a coordinator in the NFL, but finding familiarity, finding somewhere where you can actually be yourself, I do like that. Now, is there going to be like a power struggle? I would hope not. I don't think necessarily Ryan Day would have brought him in if that was the case, but I wasn't, honestly, and that's another thing that caught me off guard. I wasn't familiar with I didn't realize he had coached Ryan Day at New Hampshire and everything until it happened, but I was kind of surprised by it. I'm not shocked that he wanted out of UCLA. As far as Foster goes and giving him that job, I think it's good for UCLA because you got somebody who is already familiar with how everything works there. They probably, and you mentioned he's alum, you have a good understanding of how to navigate everything you're going to have to do, but like, who else were you going to get realistically to come in there on such short notice, too? Like, it's a perfect opportunity for him.
I did a top 5 in anticipation of this, and the coaches were all either already on the staff, like Ken Norton Jr.
That would have been a good one, too.
Yeah. Unemployed, like David Shaw. At a place where they would leave in a heartbeat, like Tom Herman.
Yeah. That's a bad culture fit.
I don't know. I mean, he's a California guy. And as good of a college coach as Chip Kelly is at this point in his career. Tony White, who's a defensive coordinator and an alum he's in Nebraska, but he's a UCLA alum. And then Justin Wilcox, who every California job kind of seems like him because he's done a good job and not great job at Cal. But again, you want to talk about somebody who's limiting their sports outlay.
Yeah.
It's Cal, and I don't think he's thrilled about having to play Clemson at all.
No.
Or Virginia or anybody. I think that
shouldn't be.
That's he's probably like, here we go with all that. So but I mean, look, Chip Kelly laid out how he thinks college football should go. I thought very eloquently, and it was an interesting idea. And I think maybe it's something that they should look into.
It's a pretty good idea, honestly.
It's a pretty good idea. I mean, like, at least parts of it are good.
Yeah.
You know, parts of it are probably more feasible than people even realize. But it kind of goes to show you, like, I'd rather be an offensive coordinator, like, just take some of this pressure off of me. And we're not going to see, like, until they fix this count. I mean, look, we're not going to see 35-year head coaches in college that much anymore anyway.
No, not at all.
The Bowdens and Osborns and Spurriers and Darryl Royal. Well, Spurrier wasn't even that long, but like the Darryl Royals and Switzers of the world that are there forever and ever, that's probably over. Because, look, if Bobby Bowden or Barry Switzer was coaching in this era, they'd be making $10 million a year and get to a point where you're in your 60s and you're like, you know what? I'm fishing.
I'm done, yeah.
I'll cut. Like, Bob Stoops was the first one who it showed me like, oh, well, you know, when you look at, like, you know, you have a stressful year and you think about, like, do I really want to do this anymore? And then you probably go to your wife and be like, you know, my heart's not really in this. And then she's like, why are you doing it? For money? I mean, this is one of our 3 houses, so we don't need money. Like, you know, you still want to be around it, but you don't have to, like, do it. There's other ways to do this. Yeah. All right. Let's go play golf. You know, like, that's how it's going to be. So Chip Kelly is also, you know, and it's like probably 58, 59, 60, 61 years old.
He's up there, yeah.
Something like that. So he's at this point in his life where he still wants to coach, but like maybe he doesn't want to hustle as much. And look, I can just tell you, I sat in an elevator with him for 45 seconds one time, and the guys can be cantankerous. Like,
oh, you could tell.
I mean, look, it was after Ohio State beat Oregon in the first CFP championship game. And that wasn't it was his team, and that
he built
Philly,
it, yeah.
But he was already off to the NFL at that point with the 49ers. I can't remember which one was first, 49ers or Eagles.
I think it was Eagles. He
was off to the Eagles. So he was there. He was just there for the game, you know, and he was just so furious. And furious in a way, not like, oh, I'm so bummed my team lost. Like, furious in a way he was disappointed about how it went down. And so, yeah, I mean, he's at a point where he wants to do that. And look, I'll tell you, Bill O'Brien, if I'm a recruit, you know.
It did nothing. I never understood that. I didn't understand that.
Chip Kelly, though, is slightly above that.
I would think if I'm a recruit looking at that, I would perceive it as I could have more fun in a Chip Kelly offense, and it would be more player friendly to how the game is played now than what we've seen traditionally with Bill O'Brien. That's how I would view it.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and we'll see. Look, I also think that for Brian Hartline, it's going to be a good thing.
Absolutely,
I think it's going to be a good thing. Ohio State has had we were just in Vegas, like everything's coming up blackjack for them.
Yeah.
Like blackjack. Great recruiting class, transfer portal,
NIL money,
like all that stuff's coming up. Jim Harbaugh, gone.
That's a big one.
I mean, that's
might be the elephant in the room.
Yeah, that one's you swipe your card in the slot machine, it just spits coins at you nonstop. I mean, that's what that was. So yeah, I come away. I think, okay, Bill O'Brien, fine, good offensive coach, but not nothing's gonna.
But he's not a player developer. There's nobody you could point to and be like, he significantly made this guy better.
And I can tell you, Chip Kelly made DTR a heck of a lot better.
Mariota? What did he have? Mariota?
Yeah, Mariota.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, I think that he's got a proven track record with the quarterbacks. They've got good ones coming in. Like, he's going to be good for Will Howard. He's going to be good for Julian Sand. Yep. He's going to be good for Aaron Nolt. Like, all those guys. Like, whoever the dudes are going to transfer, probably going to be good for them in the time. Plus, I think you'll have a different Chip Kelly in that he's not – the way the world's not going to be on him.
Less stress.
He's there just to, he's there, here's – it's kind of like I was big into action figures when I was a kid. And so it'd be kind of like, listen, you don't have to buy any action figures. Every kind of action figure you'd want is right here.
Yeah.
We're just going to leave you in a room with everything you could ever want, and you just get to play with them. That's all you got to do. We'll go and sometimes you go help us, tell us what kind of action figure you want. You want a Spider-Man, you want a Hulk, and we'll go out and we'll find that. And you may have to go say, I want this Hulk and that Spider-Man. Then we'll know, and we'll let you talk to that Hulk and Spider-Man, and then we'll bring him in. That's all he's got to do now. I think it's going to be a great marriage. I also think that he can take a lot of the pressure off of Ryan Day, who you could tell the screws were tightening, especially when they played Notre Dame and Michigan last year.
No, I mean, it definitely helps when you have, I think Baylor will have that opportunity this year, right? You'll have 2 head coaches, 3 now with Patterson, but, you have that many minds on the staff. It definitely helps to alleviate the pressure and kind of bounce scenarios off of each other. No, that's a great point about the action figures, because Hartline's going to give him the best receivers he has ever had. Yeah. Outside of the NFL. Yeah. And the talent he was able to get during his time at Oregon, while it was impressive, it's not going to be on the level of Ohio State. So, yeah, it's kind of the less pressure, more toys to play with. It can be fun. And then now that you have that clearer path, and plus you have inside information where, and I don't know how much of this will actually carry over to benefit Ohio State, but you have a guy who literally knows everything there is to know about the other programs coming in that you didn't have 2 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah. That's a fantastic point, Garrett. I think it's going to be great. All right, when we come back, let's talk about Bill O'Brien to Boston College, which I actually think is a really good move for both sides. It is. And let's talk about DeShaun Foster to UCLA. We'll talk about those two things next. This is the Triple Option on 365 Sports.
If your business is like most, you need things done quickly. But if you're still tying your critical applications together on multiple shared public networks, you've probably been feeling the slowdown. And that's no good for business. A private UPN fiber network can get you and your business moving at the speed of light. Whatever you need, we can build it. Internet, Metro Ethernet, Waves, dark fiber. We deliver custom private networks and are focused on business customers only. Our next generation 100% fiber optic infrastructure offers you low latency and ultra scalable bandwidth with speeds up to 100 gigabit to run your critical applications. Your connection won't be limiting your performance anymore. It's diverse and scalable, so it can grow and change as your business grows and changes. And with a secure carrier-grade private network, you'll have all the reliability you need. Contact UPN today to learn more. Fast just got faster.
This is 365 Sports, powered by SicEm365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Garrett, you know what I've realized?
What's that?
And it was probably because on Thursday, we had a lot of like interviews and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And then Friday, I'm sure as most of you who watch the show regularly know, it was all pre-recorded. I'm pulling down the veil. You all talked about it in the chat room. We had to travel. Like, there was no two ways about it. So here's what happens in Super Bowl cities. They'll give you, and we stayed in Airbnb for this reason, but they will give you a fantastic hotel rate. In Vegas was the best because they know that, like, we're going to get your money out of you, especially if you're in a casino. So the Mandalay Bay, or the Luxor, which is the media hotel, was $75 a night for a double queen room.
Right.
Probably $100 for a king room. So $75 a night. But Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you have to agree if you get that rate to stay through the weekend. Those prices then go way up to probably $450 to $750 a night, depending on where you are. And so we quite often stay in an Airbnb. We'll probably stay, I would say if we get that same kind of rate for Big 12 Media Days, we'll just stay on this trip. But we'll stay in an Airbnb. And because it's the same for Airbnbs, though, and there's not that many Airbnbs in Vegas. There's like probably 150 total Airbnbs, legal Airbnbs. Now, there are some under-the-table Airbnbs and VRBOs and whatever, but like the powers that be in Vegas don't want that to be a thing. Yeah. They don't want it to be a thing. So we had to leave early. And we got a chance to leave a little earlier.
Yes.
Which was really big because we would have got back till very late because our flight had gotten delayed. For whatever reason, we have no idea.
Everything was working except that one.
So our flight, like every other flight, leaving on time because the one we were scheduled for. Which even then was a little bit late in the day. We would have had to like drag our luggage around to like restaurants and stuff had we not done what we did.
I blame Smokey because he had said like every flight he had been on had been delayed. The original one, it's his fault, man.
No, he's done something to someone.
Exactly.
Somewhere. But so no, I like and Bracket Cat, thanks for your comment. No, I'm just like revealing you how it works. But we did not get a chance to talk about, and we'll talk about DeShaun Foster and Bill O'Brien in just 1 second. What I have found in my 3 or 4 trips to Vegas, and again, it's blurry. I'm not sure if this is the 3rd or the 4th. I think it was the 4th. In my trips to Vegas, a place I've never been, and I will go back to every time now.
Already.
Every time. We went to the Mob Museum on Wednesday night. Holy cow. Look, if you're a history buff, it's great. It's done really well. It's not, sometimes you go in a museum and you feel like you can't see everything.
Yes.
And you have to go back again and again. And look, I will go back and do that tour anytime. But it doesn't take you too long. It's 3 floors. You can do the whole thing in 45 minutes to about an hour and 20. If you went like, it would take you probably, if you read every single thing, it would probably take you 2 hours.
Yeah.
But there's, like you're going to look, okay, that's cool. You know, how people go through museums. They've got video presentations that are short that kind of like encompass what that floor is. There's 3 floors of it. But the best part of it, they have a distillery that makes moonshine downstairs, and that's a cool little tour. It's 30 minutes. But the bar, the speakeasy downstairs, has a bartender whose name is Paul, which means I trust in him already. And he would make you an old-fashioned, a Manhattan, a vodka gimlet, whatever it was that you liked. Whatever it was. And then give you the history of it. It was awesome. I'm going back. I'm going to call them when we go this summer.
He's the best. I'm not
what day is Paul working? I might call them before. We might do a YouTube show together, me and Paul, where I fly out to Vegas, I sit there, and we just go through the history of drinks.
Oh, dude, yes.
I mean, there's like, he's sitting on a gold mine.
I'd never witnessed anything like this.
It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. I was as happy as I've ever been.
You were in your element.
I was very much in my element. I could picture Amanda sitting to the right of me, like giggling at me and rolling her eyes at how interested I would be. But honestly, every time.
It was literally like a college class watching the way he would explain things. It was unreal.
It was great. I'm telling you right now, if you go to Vegas, go downtown to the Mob Museum. It's right across from Fremont Street.
You will not regret it.
You're not going to regret it. It's really good if you like history at all. I mean, and booze. Those two things intersect in such a magical way at the Mob Museum. I cannot even begin to describe. It was awesome. We need to clip this part of it and send it to them.
Yes.
As an endorsement. And look, if you guys want to do a YouTube show, I've already come up with the idea. I'm in this trademark copyright TM Paul Catalina right there.
Like it.
So, yeah, we flew back, retired stockbroker. We flew back on Friday afternoon.
Correct.
I got back home about 7 o'clock Friday.
About 7:30, yeah.
About 7 o'clock Friday night. We did not stay for the game because we didn't. Sometimes we get a game credential, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we push for one, sometimes we don't.
This year we did not
push for one. The NFL was thrilled when they're like, "Do you want a game credential?" We're like, "Yeah, we really would rather budget this so we could go back on Friday." And they're like, "Thank you, God bless you." Same thing last year. They gave me a game credential, and then I said, "Look, we're going to go back on Friday." And they're like, "Oh, thank God."
Yeah.
You're not going to go now. Sometimes we'll go. I've been Atlanta, Dallas, Indy, Minneapolis. Minneapolis was the best seat I've ever had for one. But yeah, I mean,
nice.
I didn't go in Houston.
So they made up for the Mall of America.
Yeah, made up for the Mall of America. Yeah, I had a great Mall of America's fine, but we were cramped in there, and if I smelled one more Wetzel's pretzel, I was going to lose my mind. But yeah, no. Okay, to the last point at hand. DeShaun Foster at UCLA, Bill O'Brien at Boston College. Let's start with Bill O'Brien. Mm-hmm. This guy is a well-traveled coach.
Yes.
These are kind of two guys at different points in their career. Boston College needs somebody who doesn't want to leave.
Yep.
And I don't think Bill O'Brien wants to leave.
No, because I think it was the perfect situation for him because while taking the Ohio State job, because he's from Boston, his kids, I believe his son's in high school right now there, that's playing in the greater Boston area. So it's a perfect opportunity for him to be close to his family, be in an area that he knows very well. He can roll in while I think we think of these markets, while New Jersey is an area that has some pretty good recruiting, I think Boston is one where to find the diamonds in the rough and the players up there, Bill O'Brien's better equipped than most people because he knows where to go and look. I think that could help them. And yeah, I mean, I don't see him wanting to rush off anywhere. I think it would have to have the ideal NFL job come up for him to move on. But yeah, I think it's a perfect fit for them. The expectations aren't exactly that high. I think it's going to be a perfect fit for them, honestly.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to work out well. It can be, again, they're limited resource-wise, but he's going to do okay there.
But I mean, look what he was able to do with Penn State.
Yeah.
And I know it's two totally different things, but I think he can go in there and have he can build a sustainable program at Boston College that could compete year in and year. Now, I'm not saying make the playoff and make deep runs, but that could consistently get to bowl games. I think he can get them there.
Yeah. I think so. I'm very intrigued by the DeShaun Foster hire at UCLA in that this is challenging in that it's February 12th.
Yeah.
Boston College kind of lucked into a guy who's been a head coach who wants to go back and live in Boston, who was just living in Boston a couple of years ago. He wants to be there. He wants to live there. That's where he wants to be. He's at a point in his career where he can ride out the storm. He can go 7-5. 8-4 is going to be a great year for them.
Exactly. Yeah.
He's not at Alabama. He's not at Penn State. He's not with the Texans.
If you're consistently 7-5, you're good at Boston College.
Yeah. Start winning some games regularly. Keep them in bowl games. Build up the program, see what you can do, and then maybe you're going to have a Matt Ryan roll through the program again, and you can have a special season, right? So that's what you got, especially now in the way college football is. You got to find somebody. Again, he's also not he's made a bunch of money, so you probably don't have to worry about him trying to get that big gig, the big payoff gig. Or maybe he's going to leapfrog it to somewhere else. Who knows? But I think that's good. DeShaun Foster's intriguing to me in that never been a head coach, but's been a very elite position coach. He knows how to recruit because he's been going and getting those guys. So he knows where they're going to, all those things. But he has no experience as a head coach. But again, sometimes, John Harbaugh didn't. And look what he's done. Like, John Harbaugh was a special teams coach for years in the NFL. And he's one of the best coaches in the league now. So sometimes not having the head coach experience, I think, is a little bit overrated because you don't know if somebody's ready for something unless you let them do it.
Well, and kind of going back to earlier what I was saying, like, who are you really going to get at this moment? I think bringing in a guy who is somebody who is prominent in your program in general, who's familiar with it. But to me, I kind of look at this situation similar to what Northwestern did this year. And Northwestern was a lot worse off, but you brought a guy in who hadn't coached before into a very toxic situation, and he was able to have a great season, and he was able to prove and earn his way up to be the head coach. I think Foster finds himself in a similar situation while you're in a financial nightmare, you also you have the Big Ten to rely on to recruit to UCLA. You use your networking that you have through there. Maybe you can get some alums, kids to come back. But, I mean, give him an opportunity because what's the worst that's going to happen? Like, you have one off year, then you got to start over. I think it's a great opportunity for Foster to go in and prove it. And if it doesn't work out, like, let's say he does okay and it doesn't work out this year, he's got proof that down the future it can open up another door for him.
Yeah, and look, it's February 12th, man.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to go get Kalen DeBoer.
Hell no.
You're not going to. Look, you're UCLA. You've been, like, in the wilderness for a while where, I mean, they haven't won a conference title in God knows how long. Like, it's been a very long time. Now. Like, it's just, they have good teams, but not great teams. Like, they really had 2 years ago they had the best roster Chip Kelly had, DTR, Zach Charbonnet, Jake Bobo. Like, they had a bunch of really good guys.
I mean, you're an afterthought in your own city.
Yeah,
at times.
Again, so they need somebody. That's why I do like them getting an alum, at least somebody who can be passionate about.
Yeah.
Like, here's what I love about this place. And this is why I think it's better than USC.
It's easier to sell.
It's better than, the other places you can go, but particularly USC. Some places, especially when you have, like, the other big boy in the city of the state area, like A&M needs a coach who can say, this is why this place is better than Texas.
Correct.
This is why this place is better than LSU. This is why this place is better than Alabama. Is any of that true? Maybe not, but, like, you have to have somebody who believes it.
You got to believe it.
You got to believe it. This is why I think we can be as good as them. Like, this is what I've always felt is missing here.
Look at Georgia. I mean, they were forever the what could be.
And what do? They hired an alum,
switch,
which sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. But I think Kirby Smart's passion for his own school has what's helped it get over the fact. Yeah, Harbaugh, his passion for his own school did that. Now, that's not going to work everywhere because I think if Texas hired an alum, it would be too much on them. Like, if Vince Young was the coach.
Right. Oh, no, that would never work.
Like, can you be as good as a coach as you were as a player?
No.
There's too much mystique there. But, yeah, sometimes, and I think sometimes places that are so big like Texas, the reason that Darryl Royal, Mac Brown, and now it looks like Sark have been so successful is they had enough outside perspective to say, hey, this is why you guys aren't as good as you think you are, but here's how good you can be.
Right.
Like, this is where you're wrong, but we're going to fix that. We're going to make you right about this, but this is where you've gone astray. So, one last topic before we go. Garrett, you liked my tweet last night.
Yes.
I was at the Atlanta Super Bowl. I did not get to sit inside. My credential was for the media workroom. And had I been at home, which immediately after finding out that I was not going to get to sit with Q in the stadium in Atlanta, I wish I had gone home because the halftime show was Maroon 5 and half of Outkast singing an edited version of a really good song.
Yes.
For the city of Atlanta, which has some of the best musicians ever to come out of it.
It's the Mecca.
Ever. Especially in the R&B and hip-hop realm. I found that 2018, 2019 Super Bowl to be
disrespectful.
Disrespectful and a travesty to the city. We're going to get Maroon 5, and we're going to throw you this little bone with Big Boy coming out. Like, oh, this is where they can co-op off of Atlanta.
No.
It was a terrible halftime show. I had to watch it on a 32-inch television in a room full of tables, like basically where they store the table and chairs. And in a chair that you would not sit in for 4 hours. Like it's a chair that you go and sit down, like, you know, when you're in a media area, you go sit down in the chair, you eat your food, and then you go sit in the real chair that you're going to sit in for 4 hours. So that's where it was. I've never, and I couldn't, it's not like I could mute it. And I couldn't go so I thought I could walk outside. Well, like you walk around the convention center, it's just on other TVs everywhere, all over the place. So I'm listening to this band who I abjectly hate screech into like the void. And I'm like, this is awful. In this city where, you know, and the whole time I'm like, Usher's from here. Little John's from here. Ludacris is from here. Like, Jermaine Dupri is from here. And guess what? That's the show we got last night. And it was great. I loved every second of it. Alicia Keys, not from Atlanta, but My Boo's a great song.
Yes.
So, yes. I mean, that was, that was one of my favorite halftime shows. And I'm not what you would call a huge Usher fan. Like, you've ridden in the car with me. Did we bump to Usher? No, we don't. But I do appreciate solid performers and performances. Now, you will hear Ludacris and you will hear Little John in my car. And probably some Jermaine Dupri if we go way back.
Yeah.
But also, I thought that was CeeLo.
I did too. They came on, and I was like, CeeLo? And I looked, and I was like, wait a minute, that's Jermaine Dupri.
And then he talked, and I was like, oh, okay. I don't know why he was dressed like a
leprechaun,
or a 7-year-old on Easter. I don't know what he was doing.
So bad, man.
Yeah,
so
come on, JD. Let's go. But yeah, and yes, Paxton, I agree. Prince halftime show, probably number one.
Yeah, when it was raining, the purple.
Yeah.
No, but that for me, like I felt like that was perfectly like for my generation. Like I felt like I got out of school in high school, like because I had a ritual. Like I would get out of school, I'm going home, I'm watching 106 in Park. Do not talk to me for about 2 hours. Yeah. After the basement ends with Tigger, I'll get to you. Yeah. And it felt like I was at home watching that 106 in Park again. It was wonderful.
It was so good. It was so good. Usher was great.
Yes. The roller skates, you're going to come out with the skates, the whole skate theme with Atlanta. Oh, man.
Come on.
I loved it.
I loved how, okay, he's going to do a costume change, so we're going to have somebody do a little bit of their song. As soon as they hit that other part, I'm coming out in roller skates, or I'm coming out in
next level.
Yes.
I thought, honestly,
and also, Ludacris, at the end, that was the perfect, ramp up to the end.
Yes, I loved it. I thought for a second, the way he was dressed, he had the one glove, being in Vegas, I thought he was going to, finish with a Michael Jackson song, which I'm kind of glad he didn't. Just keep it all your context or whatever. But it was fun. I had a blast with that halftime show.
It was great. Loved it. Fired up. And again, I will accept the NFL's apology as, and I think I might have tweeted out this exact tweet that that lineup plus way more.
Yes.
Just going down. I was even Googling people to make sure that they were from Atlanta. And I'm that guy.
You could have done you could have done what LA did.
Done it. Here's the thing. You could have done it without any rappers and still had a fantastic show. No rappers, just from Atlanta, still had a fantastic show.
Yeah.
But they didn't do that way. And so again, especially if you are talking about I do think, and look, Las Vegas can be anybody. You do any act, because you can see anything there. But next year in New Orleans, it should have a Louisiana-ish flavor to it.
You bring Boosie and Wayne out, it's over.
And you can have them, they don't have to be the main act, but again, have a Louisiana flavor to it, right?
Yes.
Have a little Louisiana flavor to it. I think it should always have that. The Atlanta Super Bowl tried to do that, but no, it's got the main course. Give it to me. So anyway,
I got one thing before we go. I know we're up against it. Did you have an opportunity before the game? I don't really watch a lot of pregame stuff.
I do in Super Bowl Sunday.
Did you see CBS's thing with Brett Musburger?
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, dude! That was so well put together. The context. I don't know how he's not in the Hall of Fame, but that was so damn good.
They need to give him that award. They do. He deserves to be in the Hall. He deserves to be a couple different Halls.
Yes.
College football. He's great. I got to meet him here a couple times when he was doing basketball games. And it was, there's two guys I've met, sportscaster-wise, that knocked me on my back after they left. And it was him and Pat Summerall.
Oh, I can see both of those. Yeah.
Him and Pat Summerall. I've met Jim Nantz one time, and I love Jim Nantz. I've met some other guys. Al Michaels, I did meet Al Michaels at the Hall of Fame. I met Al Michaels, and that one. Those are the three that you were just like.
That's the standard.
I remember Al Michaels, Paul Catalina. Oh, hey, Paul, how you doing? Where are you from? Waco, Texas. Okay, And he walks off, and I'm like, do you believe in miracles? In my head, with Brent Musburger, it's like, you are looking live. It's in my head. With Pat Summerall, it's so many different games. So, yeah, Musburger, especially he was just so good.
So good, man.
So good. I absolutely so. But Kyle Visser said, I'm out of touch. I didn't know anyone but Usher. Saw him on The Voice, didn't know any of the other people, and not one song. And here's the thing.
It's for different generations.
And look, I like good shows. If you can put on a good show, and look, I knew all the songs. But there are some times when people come, I'm not a Beyonce fan, but I'll say she put on a good show.
Yes, she did.
Yeah, she put on a good show. I'm not going to download Beyonce's albums. I'm not in the Beehive. I'm not there, or the Bayhive. What do they call it?
I don't know. Beehive, whatever it is.
Paxton said Taylor Swift next year. We'll see.
I'm tough. Paxton, I totally get it. I don't think it would be a great show.
Think they'll do it.
But I've had enough of Taylor Swift.
Yeah,
I have.
Garrett has had enough of Taylor Swift. Not me. Not ever. No. All right, that's going to do it for us. We're going to talk UCLA.
Yep.
We'll talk Super Bowl. We'll talk Super Bowl memorabilia. I'm going to tell you, there's a piece of Super Bowl memorabilia that some creep is going to buy. It is Taylor Swift's beer cup from her chug.
Absolutely.
I promise you, one of the people working that thing went like, boop. Yep. Took a quick picture of it, next to her, so he can authenticate it. And it's going to sell that thing. Here is Taylor Swift's beer cup. It's going to be in somebody's house that has more money than sense, but that's going to be there. This is the Triple Option on 365 Sports. Have a great day, everybody.
If your business is like most, you need things done quickly. But if you're still tying your critical applications together